Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the HockeyNorth podcast. I'm your host today, Tyler Croom, joined here with my good friend, Brendan Pawliw. And I think we're both buzzing here after a pretty big Game 6 here in Prince George at the CN Center as the Cougars are heading on to the second round to play Seattle for the first time in 16 years.
Yeah, I was wondering how you're feeling after a game like that. I know it was pretty pumping up in the press box where I was, but how did you feel in the stands?
Oh, incredible. Everyone was on the edge of their seat. Everyone's into it, anticipating, the next goal. And I think everything about that game was like that. All the back and forth hockey, the Cougars getting the lead, Tri-City coming back, tying it up, and leading into the final stages of that game. That big fight with Fisher O'Brien at the end against Deegan McMillan for Tri-City, I think really set the tone for the Cougars to finish it off in poetic fashion. And it was great. I almost lost my voice tonight. It was incredible.
Yeah, it was quite the overtime victory. You normally don't see a fight in overtime, but Chase Wheatcroft, the overtime hero, and I guess we shouldn't be too surprised that he came up with another clutch goal.
Oh, certainly. And I think that goes to show the experience that Chase Wheatcroft, Jackson Weeb, those guys have from playing on teams that went deep in the playoffs previously. And I think those are the types of players that are going to make this next round against Seattle quite interesting. As we're seeing a lot of guys stepping up, a lot of leadership experience, playoff type of hockey from guys up and down the lineup, and I'm definitely looking forward to it.
And speaking of the Thunderbirds, of course, PG's Nico Majadovic on that team. Seattle, as you know, built to go for it all this year based on the amount of assets that they traded away to get those big name players at the deadline, such as Brand Lambert, Dylan Gunther, as well as a couple others. Series starting April 14th. That is a Friday. It's a Friday-Saturday start down in Seattle, or Kent, I should say, as it's in the greater Seattle area. How do you see this one playing out, even though the T-Birds, and deservedly so, will be favored?
Yeah, I think it's quite easy for a lot of people to think Seattle's going to make it a quick one, 4 or 5 games. I think it's going to be a tight one. I think with the firepower that Seattle had, they really were held to only 4 goals max against Kelowna in the first round. And, we can't judge that too much, as it'll be a new series, new round for both teams. But I think with how hot the goaltending has been for the Cougars, whether it's been Brennan or Young, the type of hockey they have been playing, I think is going to be a battle. And I want to say this series could maybe go 6-7 games if the Cougars really want to bring their A game.
Yeah, and I think with the talent the Cougars do have on their roster, they can certainly bring that out. It all depends on, getting that consistent effort, because you don't want to get sloppy like we saw in that second period against Tri-City, where, you take your foot off the gas, Tri-City scores twice, while a team like Seattle, they could score 4 or 5 in a period.
Oh, yeah. In the opportunity, if the Cougars, do have those flat moments for any length of time, will come about for that Thunderbirds team. And whether it's their first, second, third line, or even a couple players on their fourth, they can make you pay real quick. So it's going to be definitely a different series to be played there for the Cougars.
Yeah, so moving on to that, on the show today, Alex Ochitwa, Prince George boy, former Cariboo Cougar, wrapping up his junior A career with the Nipawin Hawks. A few stops in between along the way. So happy to get him on. We'll hear from him a little bit later, but still no shortage of northern talent hanging around here in these major junior A playoffs.
Yeah, definitely. And an interview I think you guys are going to really enjoy. Chitty is always a good guy to talk to, very light personality. So it's really cool to be able to share a bit of his story here with you guys.
Mm-hmm. I guess moving on here, we'll talk about the playoffs with the northern players still hanging around, and the ones that got eliminated, of course, Lethbridge Hurricanes, done in 4 straight against the Moose Jaw Warriors. So Hayden Smith, Miguel Marquez looking forward to next season. Carson Golder looking at his future after the Smithers product in his final WHL season, swept away by the Seattle Thunderbirds. Ethan Semenuk, the 17-year-old for the Vancouver Giants. He was ousted in 4 straight games with the Kamloops Blazers, winning all 4, 5-4 in overtime on Thursday down at the Langley Event Center. So those guys are done, as is Caden Lindstrom of the Medicine Hat Tigers. They lost in 4 straight to the Winnipeg Ice. Winnipeg most likely flexing their muscles in that series. Maybe not too much of a surprise there, but we thought maybe the way that Medicine Hat was playing down the stretch, that could have been a little bit more interesting than that. I have to say, in regards to the Cougars, going back to them here, 2 guys that really stepped up to the plate for PG was the play of Caden Brown and Fisher O'Brien. You need those secondary scores, and I thought both those guys really stepped up to the plate.
Well, they certainly did. And, for Caden Brown, he has 6 points in 6 games. So he didn't factor in every single game of the series, but, a couple games where he had those multi-point games, and they were big times to score for him or get the assist. And I think that's really encouraging to see for the Cougars, to see Caden really step up that offensive side of his game that we know he has, and to really give that secondary offensive punch for the team.
Yeah, you need those secondary guys. And I thought the Cougars checking line actually proved to be a bit of a difference maker in that round 1 series against Tri-City, picking up those timely goals. Caden Brown, of course, scoring a few of those. And, in this time of year, you pretty much need everybody. And Caden Brown, one of those guys that stepped up to the plate here over the course of that 6-game series win against the Tri-City Americans.
Yeah, definitely. And also, not to give all the attention there to Caden, I'll touch in on Fisher O'Brien here. I mean, we've said for a long time, anyone that's watched Fisher play knows how good his defensive game is, and is a big reason why he is in the Western Hockey League with the Cougars. And, now we're seeing that reward for him on the offense as his persistence is paying off, and the chemistry he's built with Caden Brown has been a lot of fun to watch. 2 Cariboo Cougar alumni and local talent here. So, it's putting on a show for the Prince George fans.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. While we have a moment, we'll touch on the AJHL playoffs. Spruce Grove Saints in round number 3, Hunter Brown, Brophy Dunn, 2 members of the Saints in that series. 3-2 overtime victory on Friday was followed up by a massive 6-2 win over Bonnyville in that series. Brophy Dunn, the stay-at-home rugged defenseman, pointless in 2 games, while Hunter Brown did have 1 assist in those 2 victories for Spruce Grove, looking to play in the final once again. Brooks also up 2-0 in their series, so you might see a clash with Titans there in Alberta. Down in the BCHL, the Junior A careers are now over for John Harrington as well as Jordan Fairley of the Prince George Spruce Kings. Lyndon Macau, his season is over, as the Vanderhoof product was also bounced along with the Spruce Kings. Ditto for Scott Cousins. So those 4 players will come back hungry next season after coming up short this year with their respective clubs. A lot of interesting series in the BCHL. Vernon Vipers upending Aiden Reeves and the West Kelowna Warriors in 6 games. So the junior career of former PG Cougar Aiden Reeves is over. They were up 2-1 in that series against Vernon, and they lost 3 straight. So it's a tough way to lose. But we do congratulate Aiden for his junior accomplishments at that level. But, like I said, it's that time of year where somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose, and you're extra sad when some of the kids in the area that we cover will no longer be suiting up either until next season, or they have to face a crossroads, whether they're going to, gut it out and play minor pro, or they're going to take the education route.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I'm not alone in saying that we were hoping for a bit of a better turnout here for Jordan Fairley and John Harrington, as both players have been playing in the North a long time, and to see them maybe get a run in their last year in the BCHL with the Prince George Spruce Kings would have been really cool to see. But 2 very talented players, and I can definitely see them getting some other big opportunities elsewhere to pursue their hockey career.
Yeah, John Harrington, of course, going NCAA. Jordan Fairley just trying to figure out his post-secondary options. I also want to send a congratulations to former Spruce King Ethan DeYoung of capturing the Frozen Four with Quinnipiac, the first time they've ever won the NCAA National Championship in men's hockey, overtime thriller against the Minnesota Golden Gophers. So congratulations, Ethan, on a job well done. So congratulations to him, of course, DeYoung, a part of that 2017-2018 Spruce Kings team that made it all the way to the Fred Page Cup finals against the Wenatchee Wild.
Yeah, absolutely cool to see that. And I remember him playing a pretty big moment at times here for the Spruce Kings in that run there to the Fred Page Cup. And definitely no surprise that he's once again on a team that went to go achieve some big things.
Yeah, so once again, congratulations, Ethan. That was his final season of collegiate hockey down in the States. So we'll see if he gets a pro contract here soon, as it's that time again where any first round or high draft picks that went the college route for all 4 years either sign with their NHL teams that drafted them previously, or they become UFAs, or the guys that were not necessarily on the radar the first time around are signing a bunch of NHL deals, like we're seeing in North Dakota, including Chris Chandler, who played in his first AHL game with the Rochester Americans. So congratulations, Chris, on that. And hopefully bigger and better things ahead for him during his time in the Sabres organization.
I know I was scrolling through Instagram and I saw the Rochester Americans post the warm-ups there with 2 shots of Chris Jandrick. Really cool to see that another local boy going to pursue a pro career, getting that opportunity there with the Sabres organization, and just in time for a playoff run with the team. So really cool to see Chris be a part of that. Yeah,
congratulations, Chris. I know his brother Steven has been toiling in the minors for the past couple of years, making it up to the AHL on a more permanent basis this year with Worcester. So congratulations to his brother as well. I guess switching gears here, we'll talk about my interview with Alex Ochitwa. Alex, of course, as you know, most notably for his time in Prince George Minor Hockey, Cariboo Cougars, starring for 2+ seasons. Bounced around a little bit during his earlier days in the, junior A ranks between BC and Alberta. Found his traction again in Osoyoos with the Coyotes under head coach Carter Rigby, who's now with the PG Cougars. He'll touch on that, as well as his final season with the Nipawin Hawks and the transition to playing in Saskatchewan. So without any further ado, here's a Prince George product and Cariboo Cougar graduate, Alex Ochitwa. Well, with me now here on the HockeyNorth podcast is Prince George product and Nipawin Hawk, Alex Ochitwa. Alex, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Well, Alex, your junior A career came to an end a short time ago with the Nipawin Hawks in your final season, coming up short in the first round of the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League playoffs. Just maybe talk about your last season as a whole out in Saskatchewan and just maybe the unfortunate first round playoff exit there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for my last season of junior, I definitely really thankful to get the chance to go over to Nipawin and have a full steady season in the same spot and be there and play with an unbelievable group of guys. And it was nice, kind of a team that overachieved a little bit in a way, like in the regular season. Like we definitely weren't a high seed or anything, but it was a team that struggled a lot last year. And we got better as the year went on, and it was too bad about how the playoffs went in circumstances. But I think we had a really good year. It's definitely something we can look back on and positive, and for sure for that group going forward in the next couple of years, they built a really good team that I expect to see going deep in the next couple of years.
Just maybe talk about what that whole experience going out east was like to, a rural community out in Saskatchewan. I covered that league for 3.5 years before coming out here. It's a small, older rink in Nipawin.
Yeah.
Fans are very good, kind of like what you would see at the co-part there with the Spruce Kings in terms of maybe its size, but just maybe touch on that whole experience going out there and being part of a franchise where it means a lot to that community.
Yeah, sure. I mean, being from BC going out to Saskatchewan, I mean, I don't think the league is maybe recognized enough as a really competitive league where, a good developmental league in junior to get you ready for the next level. And I mean, Nipawin was a really cool spot, like a tight-knit community. Everybody knows everybody there. And, you go out and you see people and they're talking about the games and all that stuff. And I mean, lots of junior places are like that, but yeah, it was a cool experience for me for sure. Like definitely a whole different thing out there from, what I grew up and got used to, and an experience I'll, remember forever and learned a lot from.
Let's take a look at your numbers here: 18 goals, 15 assists, 33 points in 52 games. Just maybe touch on, being coached by somebody that, is a smaller, diminutive forward and, kind of has a similar skill set to you and maybe kind of played the game a similar way. What were some of the things that Tad Kozin tried to impress upon you during your time with the Hawks?
Yeah, sure. He was definitely always pushing me to, be harder on pucks, like be in battles, definitely like be somebody who's, always around the puck and, not shying away from any physicality or anything like that. And I think that was something I definitely got better at as the year went on. Over there, it's definitely a bit of a bigger and more physical league than over here in BC. Maybe not quite as skilled, but, so I definitely had to, adjust my game a little bit for certain things like that. And, he was always pushing me for that stuff and working on little details at practice, skill wise as well. And yeah, definitely for just to, work on that part of my game. And I think it helped a lot.
And growing up in Prince George, we always talk about, the rivalries, whether it's through minor or U18 or wherever, where, you really want to beat the Vancouver-based teams or your closest geographical rivals in Kamloops or Kelowna. Closest geographical rival to you wasn't actually too far down the road down in Melfort there against the Mustangs. So maybe for those that maybe aren't too familiar with the SJHL, what it was like to be acquainted with that rivalry.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I mean, there were only 45 minutes down the road. So, we'd go up there and we'd have a whole section of our fans, and same thing when they came to us, a team that everybody takes pretty seriously. Like when you get up for those ones, and the whole town kind of hates to lose to Melfort. And so those ones are huge. And yeah, no, it was cool like that. I mean, there was lots of matchups like that, obviously across the whole league where, teams were within an hour of each other. So that's pretty cool for it to be like that.
As I mentioned before, I've been in quite a few of those rinks. You got quite the variety in terms of a mix of the old and the new and recently renovated. You got, the older rinks like yours and Yorkton's, and you have Weyburn's, which is in pretty good shape for the amount of time it's been up there. And then you have obviously, your Laranges, and then the newer ones like the Melvilles and the Estevans. Estevans is probably WHL caliber if it had more seats in it, but just maybe talk about the experience of like playing in those different settings and within those distinctly different communities, because it's not quite like in BC where you go through the Okanagan, what the landscape is, but you're kind of almost changing things up, even though you're staying in the same province, almost on a nightly basis if you're on the road.
Yeah, definitely. I think home ice advantage plays a big factor in that league for sure. For that reason, I mean, like you said, the L'Orange where it's got the tiny roof and all that stuff, and then there's there's Notre Dame that's Olympic size, and we play in older rinks like you say, like Yorkton and such, and then Melville, Estevan. They're just beautiful, brand new rinks, and yeah, so it's kind of cool in that sense. Like you're playing on a different sheet every night where it's the size changes and some nights it's more open and you have a little bit more time to work and use your skill, and then other nights you're a little it's tight and you're just looking for an opportunity when you can get them, and I think every team kind of understands that too, where they try to build their teams in a certain way to make that more or easier to win in their own rank. But it was a cool experience that way too, to have to make that adjustment every night and kind of what you got to do differently depending on what rank you're in.
Let's switch gears here. Now you had the fortune of getting a scholarship, Division III, Concordia University in Wisconsin. Just touch on how that opportunity came about and how excited you are to continue on at the collegiate level.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can't be more excited for first of all to get the opportunity and go there. I mean, I couldn't be happier with the choice I made either to go to Concordia, Wisconsin next year, and I'm really excited to play for Jim Mosso there, and I think it's going to be a great experience. I can't wait. But I mean, through the whole process, I think my coaching staff was really good about that too, and our assistant GM, Dana Dirks, like putting my name out there and, reaching out to some schools for me. As I talked to schools and had my conversations with Jim there, I mean, it seemed kind of like a no-brainer to me. Like that's where I was wanted the most, and looks like it would be that best opportunity for me to go somewhere and play 4 more years of hockey and just get better every day. I mean, obviously the goal at the end of the day is to, play more hockey, and I want to be someone that could be a true hockey player coming out of college and get more opportunity. And, I'm just looking at it as a chance to go somewhere and get better. And I couldn't be happier about where I'm at.
Now, you endured some struggles early on in your junior A career. You played in the bubble season with Merritt, then you played with 4 teams in 1 year last season, starting off with Merritt, West Kelowna, Whitecourt, and then ending up with the Osoyoos Coyotes, where you got your most traction in terms of offensive success and playoff success. Just talk about what that whole whirlwind of a year kind of taught you, playing on 4 different teams at 2 different levels. What kind of happened there?
Yeah, I mean, for that experience, I mean, it's something you obviously look back on, and it's tough to look at a little bit in a way, like seeing 4 different teams and, at the time feeling like a little bit unwanted or like not being able to stay in a place or adjust the way you want to. But, I'm really thankful in a way, looking back on the experience and what it taught me as to, to just go to the rink every day, work hard, and be where you are and be happy where you are. Just try to make the most of every opportunity. I mean, I got the chance to play in every single role I could have last year, like being on the top line, playing, tons of minutes in a Soyuz, and there was places I was there just fighting to get in and out of the lineup and being on any line from 1 to 4 on a few of those teams. So, I mean, it was, looking back on the experience, I mean, it definitely taught me a lot, and I got to meet a lot of good people and live with a lot of, nice families and had some good experiences. But I think the biggest thing is just that it taught me was just to keep working hard and, enjoy every opportunity you get, because, you don't know exactly where everything's going to end up.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel Osoyoos was a place where you got your confidence back? You're on a point per game pace there, coached by Carter Rigby, who's now an assistant coach with the Prince George Cougars. did everything just sort of click for you right away when you came there?
Yeah, I think, I mean, that's exactly how it was. I was there in Soyuz 2 separate times. And I'm really thankful for Carter Rigby. He's, everything he did meant a lot. Like when I got released from Merritt, I went down there and had the chance to just play, get a ton of ice, work on my game, get my confidence back, like something I didn't, I was definitely struggling with a little bit. And, gave me a chance to go back up with Whitecourt and get an opportunity there. And around the deadline, I got moved from Whitecourt and made the decision to come back to Soyuz and push to, make a push there with those guys. And it was the same thing. He just, put me in the right situations to just make me better and give me all the opportunity I could, and got me the AP with West K for the end of the year there. And I had a great experience there as well. Obviously didn't play a bunch of games or anything like that, but it was a really cool opportunity to be a part of their run too, and kind of watch that from up higher and learn from that and play with some really good players there and with a really good coaching staff that taught me a lot of things too.
Mm-hmm. Now, of course, I'd be remiss not to mention your time at the Cariboo Cougars. You spent 2 seasons there, 2 really strong, successful seasons with Cariboo. I remember calling your games for those 2 seasons that you were with us. You won the championship in that 2018-19 year. You unfortunately had your final year cut short because of the pandemic. But looking back on that 2018-19 season for a minute, that was a stacked team that seemed to be one of those special groups, and you found a way to take it all the way against Fraser Valley in that championship series. Just maybe take us through that season.
Yeah, obviously, like you said, we a deep group where we had a tons of talent, and from the back all the way up, we had so many options. Like even like in net, we had 2 great goalies and 6 great defensemen. Our lineup was awesome, but we definitely had our ups and downs. And when you look back on that year, I think we kind of struggled for a little bit until that Max tournament hit, and we had a couple really big wins there, and it all started to kind of click, and we kind of found our real potential, like what we could actually do, and we all got on the same page. And like it was a really special group that that could go that far, and that was a really great year, really good experience.
Yeah, you had a couple big overtime victories in those series. I remember Curtis Hammond scoring a game winner at home against the V&E Chiefs that year. Then you sweep Fraser Valley after they swept you at home the year prior, having a good rivalry with them. Just maybe talk about the run and being able to respond to some of that adversity that you faced on your way to the championship.
Yeah, that's right. In the second round there, we played the Chiefs, and we lost our first game there, and then the second game went to overtime, and we were 1 goal away from being done in the second round there, and had that big goal from Hammond, and then ended up crawling all the way back, winning that series. And we battled with Fraser Valley. I mean, the loss the year before in the finals, and then I think they had us 3-1 maybe that year in the regular season, and then it kind of just clicked at that right time in the playoffs, and carried momentum from game 1 into game 2, and just made it happen right there.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that I most remember about your playing days with Cariboo, and you probably remember this too, and you get reminded of it every now and again, is that lacrosse style goal you scored late in the game against Kootenay, against somebody in Colton Phillips Watts when he was the goaltender for the Ice. Just maybe take us through that goal and how that won your team a game where you might not have played your best that day.
That day we struggled a little bit against Kootenay there, a team when they come to town, you kind of expect you got to get 2 points there. And yeah, I mean, obviously it was special to get that goal. It was a cool one. Obviously, lots of guys like to try it in practice and all that, and I still like to try it every once in a while when I get the chance. But it was pretty cool. And yeah, on P-Dub like that, a guy I got to play with a ton throughout the years. It was definitely pretty cool. And it was a great call too by you on that one.
Well, I appreciate that. That was quite something, and it sure brought the crowd to its feet there. Everybody was probably just as shocked as you are that you pulled it off just in that time of the game. And it was one of those incredible moments that's pretty hard to forget. Going through the minor hockey ranks, Alex, you're a Prince George boy. You played minor hockey. Just maybe touch on how you first got into the game, and as well as some of your most memorable minor hockey memories there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'd say what inspired me to start playing was my dad, and I mean my parents in general, like the whole way through, super great support. And I couldn't complain at all about living in Prince George and growing up and coming through this system. I mean, it was a great experience. There's no place I would have rather grow up and get all the experience from to, develop and make my way to juniors. But, when I think about when the special moments kind of growing up, one kind of sticks out. When we were younger, I think about Pee Wee. I had a buddy and his mom passed away, and in that season, and we ended up going to the tournament at the end of the year, and winning a championship for her. And that was kind of made the coolest moment, I'd say, like through minor hockey, like a pretty special moment for a teammate and a guy that was a really good kid, and a parent that was like super supportive. And it was tough to see somebody have to go through that, and for us to make that happen was pretty special.
At what point in your development through the minor hockey ranks did you feel you had a chance to play, U18 AAA, and then the opportunities to eventually maybe make the stepping stone to junior A?
Yeah, I'm through my whole minor hockey. It was kind of just my first year I'd play tier 2, my second year I'd play tier 1, and kind of just I don't know if I had that thought about U18 or AAA or anything like that much. Kind of when I was coming through the system, I just wanted to keep getting as good as I can. And I wasn't an overly strong player when I was super young or anything like that. And I started to get a little bit better in Bantam, and was obviously looked up to the guys on Cariboo, and wanted that to be the next place I played. And I had a really, really good midget tier 1 year. My first year was the last year before minor midget came, and we had a really good year where we almost went all the way. And throughout that whole year, I AP'd with Cariboo, and obviously that was my goal for the next season. And it happened fairly naturally through that, but it worked out really, really well how that went. And then from the whole time I played for Cariboo, I mean, my goal was to be a junior hockey player. And I think that's the thing, that's what's always been in my mind. Like, whenever another level comes, you think about just trying to make the next level, and work every day to get to that point where you could play more hockey. And what could be better than that, than to come out of this whole thing and just keep playing hockey.
Mm-hmm. Or some of your hockey idols, whether it be NHL players or local talents that maybe came through the city that played at a high level or played pro? Is there anybody that you tried to idolize or model your game after?
Yeah, I mean, through the NHL, once Kucherov was really discovered, I mean, he was the guy I always like wanted to be like, and wanted to try like the skilled things that he did and all that stuff. But in town, I mean, there was a lot of good guys through the older groups and all that stuff. I mean, when I was younger, just a year older was Brandon Dent. He was a smaller guy and wanted to, do the kind of things he was doing for sure. And there was, lots of good role models, obviously like the Jandricks and, but that's what I'd say growing up. Through Prince George, we've always had a lot of talent. There's lots of guys who watched through the Kings and the Cougars and all that too, that I looked up to. I can't think of all the names right now for sure, but, trying to be like those guys for sure.
Mm-hmm. As a smaller player, did you feel that you had to work that much harder or do that much more in order to get noticed?
I don't know if I never necessarily felt that way. I obviously, when you're smaller, maybe you just got to make up for it in other areas. Like, there's things you can control, and you can control, like obviously now, like, can work out and get in the gym and try to get bigger and stronger and faster. But like the things you can control is just trying to be quicker and trying to be smarter and, work on your skills so that, you can make up for, the size in other areas and just be someone that is undeniably skilled or fast or anything like that. So I never saw it as too much of a disadvantage or anything. Just had to work hard on other things.
Now that you have the scholarship in hand and you know where you're going next season for the next 4 years, what does that next step for you look like in terms of, getting stronger and just trying to reach that next level, as you talked about earlier in the interview, against guys that are likely 3 or 4 years older than you once you step into the NCAA?
Yeah. I'm really happy with being able to go to the NCAA too. I think in general, it's usually a quicker and more skilled game than other places you can maybe go play at this point. So I'm really excited about that fact. And I think for me, the biggest thing is speed kills. So just work on my feet and be as quick as I can. And throughout the past couple of years, I think that's something I definitely need to get better at. Like my speed wasn't as good as it could have been. And just keep getting faster and stronger and just work on all the things I can. But I'm really excited for the chance to go over there.
Who do you keep in touch with the most from your playing days on other teams, whether it be Cariboo Cougars or maybe any of your other stops along the way in the junior A, junior B circuit? Obviously, you developed some good relationships with players on the Hawks, but who are your maybe closest friends there, as well as maybe some of the other teams that you played on that you still keep in touch with today?
For Prince George's folks, had a really tight group up here. All the O2s, like we were lucky enough to have a lot of us like have a chance to play junior, and a lot of the guys I've stuck tight with. You can probably list off every single 17-year-old, 16-year-old that's on that list, and I've kept in contact with every single one of them. And from Nipawin, I met a lot of good guys. It's hard to pick a few, but I billeted with Finley Radloff, so we were pretty tight. Got tight with Braxton Buckberger, Chase Visser, and that's just a few. But lots of really good guys there. There was tons of good guys in Soyuz and Merritt that I just keep close contact to all the time. Merritt, Mark Thurston is probably the biggest one. I've always stayed pretty tight with him. But I've met good guys in every place, Whitecourt too. And that's kind of the best part of, playing in all those spots is getting a chance to meet a lot of really, really good people that, I should be able to keep in contact with forever or at least kind of somewhat know what's going on. And lifelong friends for sure.
Favorite road city, favorite and least favorite road city
in Saskatchewan
and anywhere.
Oh, I would say L'Orange was my least favorite. And my favorite road city to go to. Maybe Estevan, like just from the recent years. I mean, there was a lot of cool places, obviously in the BC and all that too. But yeah, Estevan was definitely a good place to go travel and go to.
Yeah. Well, Alex, thank you very much for coming on the podcast here. It was great to catch up with you and to see you enjoy success in your final season. So, wish you good luck in your collegiate hockey journey, and maybe we could do this again in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Yeah, I appreciate you having me on.
All right. Thank you, Alex.
All right. Have a good one. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, and that was our interview with Alex Ochitwa. In the interview there with Alex, Brendan, what are your thoughts as you went along?
Well, just how in-depth he went in terms of his, junior hockey journey, how, persistence pays off and getting those additional opportunities. I know 2 years ago, he played on 4 different teams, not a scenario that you want. He's starting in Merritt, going to Osoyoos, then going to West Kelowna and Whitecourt. So, you don't really want to bounce around like that in a year. But like you mentioned in the interview, a really good experience for him. And now he got that Division III scholarship down in the States. Congratulations to Alex. And, right spot and the right time for him down in Saskatchewan with the Hawks. Unfortunately, his season is over, but great to see him continue playing here for the next however long in the NCAA. So congratulations, Alex. And it was quite the enjoyable chat with the Prince George product as he made his way back home after that first round ouster there to the Humboldt Broncos.
Excellent. Yeah, from all of us here at HockeyNorth, congratulations, Alex. And we're glad that you're able to find a home to play out the season and carry on to your next stage. And any final thoughts here before we head on to wrap up?
Yeah, I just want to mention that Jackson Hassman, formerly of the Weyburn Red Wings, he'll be joining Brophy Dunn at Nate. So congratulations to Jackson on that. I plan to get him on the pod very soon, as well as Griffin Outhouse. So we'll try and make some more efforts to connect with one or both of them in episodes ahead. But we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here in terms of the playoffs, and it's getting quite exciting.
Perfect. Well, we'll leave it off on a high note there, Brendan. Thank you for listening in to our podcast this week, to all of our viewers and avid Northern hockey followers. And we look forward to seeing you here next week. Bye for now.